Next on Stampede,
an all-time high for student enrollment,
and a hit and run on campus.
Plus, the Counseling Center earns new accreditation.
And engineering is full. More on why students are interested in this program.
In sports, the cross-country team competes in the first home race in over 20 years, and the cheer and dance team hit the road for camp.
Cheer and dance goes beyond the bows and the pom-poms. That these girls put in a ton of work.
And later, we'll tell you about a local restaurant shutting its doors.
These stories and more are coming up next.
Stampede TV begins now.
A record-breaking 1,332 students are enrolled this semester. Welcome to Stampede TV. I'm Jordan Birch.
And I'm Brianna Snyder. The high enrollment number is due to a large incoming class of 286 students. Stampede TV's AJ Traybold has more on the story.
I know you're excited. I'm excited too. The main thing to celebrate is that when we have more students here than ever, it means there are more people here than ever preparing for lives of service and impact.
1,332 students seems to be the magic number this year, as that is how many students Milligan welcomed onto campus this semester. This is the biggest incoming class in years, with a total of 286 new freshmen and transfers. Milligan's recruitment tactics proved very effective this year. Dr. Lee Harrison, Vice President of Enrollment, and the admissions department used several strategies to bring all types of students on campus.
Yeah. So the recruitment process is pretty involved, and there's a lot of different aspects to that. So we, at the undergraduate level, we work obviously with traditional high school students typically. We also have a transfer population, so we're also working with community colleges and students who express interest from other institutions and transferring.
Dr. Harrison says that while the admission team is dedicated to finding students that would be best suited for Milligan, they understand that these students are potential servant leaders and want to offer the best relationships with them as they can. More students on campus, however, comes with a couple challenges, and not just a longer line in the cafeteria. One of the bigger challenges faced by Milligan is housing for all the students that have chosen to live on campus. This year's male student population has caused the main freshman dormitory, Webb Hall, to reach full capacity. It was decided that the overflow would be put into the married student housing apartments. Heather Jackson, Director of Student Success and Disability Services, and right hand to Dean of Students Tony Jones, explained that MSA is a good choice to put undergrads for the time being, as it lets them continue to experience Milligan community.
Yeah, I think we would prefer to keep people that want to live on campus want to be part of that campus community. And that's not to say that people that live over at Emmanuel are not part of the Milligan community, but undergraduates are obviously generally on this side of the road. And so, MSA works well for that. And then, also just virtue of that we had space to use in MSA.
For this year, there are 4 groups of 4 guys living in the MSA. Trey Rice, a senior in psychology, was one of the students selected to move to MSA. He said there was a combination of the village and Webb, but a welcome change.
You have 2 separate rooms and you're sharing a room with someone, but at the same time you have your own kitchen area and a living room area. So I like the setup. I think the only problems we've really had so far is really just we wish we had more counter space. Other than that, everything has been perfectly fine, and also this year I'm actually living with people that I enjoy living with, so there's that, yeah.
For now, housing arrangements have been reached for all students on campus. AJ Traybold, Stampede TV.
Go online to Milligan Stampede for more on the story.
After a suspicious person was reported on the Emmanuel campus, the B.D. Phillips Building and the Thompson Center were locked down the morning of Wednesday, August 28th. A driver fled the scene of a car accident on Milligan View Drive and entered the Thompson Center, asking to use a phone. Administrators at the Thompson Center reported the individual to a physical plant manager in the Elizabethton Police Department. According to WCYB, The Elizabethton Chief of Police, Jason Shaw, believes the individual to be Dustin Miller, an Elizabethton resident who at the time was wanted for violating his probation. Director of Property and Risk Management, Britt Nipper, explained that the Emmanuel buildings were locked after police officers concluded that the individual had left campus.
We had an individual that was actually involved in a hit-and-run accident near the campus and had actually hit a couple of parked cars.
Students were notified during this event and were advised to stay put until the police had cleared the scene.
Milligan's clinical mental health concentration in the counseling program received accreditation by the Council for Accreditation of Counseling and Related Educational Programs, also known as CACREP. Counseling faculty, current students, alumni, MSC advisory board members, and some cabinet members gathered together in the Thompson Center for Occupational Therapy up on Emmanuel Hill to celebrate the program's new accreditation. Students with CACREP accreditation are now able to expand their job opportunities.
It gives me confidence heading towards licensure, and the other piece that's important is because it's that recognizable stamp across the country, it just opens doors for each of us.
The counseling program plans to pursue CACREP accreditation for the addictions concentration in the foreseeable future.
Hurricane Dorian hit home for one Milligan student and his family.
Sophomore student Andre Laverty sat down with StampedeTV's David Depler and talked about how the hurricane has affected his family.
Devastating Hurricane Dorian crashed into the Bahamas on September 1st, destroying countless homes and buildings. Junior Andre Laverty was directly affected by this.
At first, when I heard about Hurricane Dorian, I didn't expect it to be at the magnitude at which it was. Everybody was saying it's supposed to be a Category 3 hurricane and that it might even miss the Bahamas. Then all of a sudden things just turned and it just escalated to a Category 5 hurricane that's coming straight from my island, so it's definitely hard to hear that.
Although Andre is on campus, the disaster still hits home.
Personally, Hurricane Dorian is affecting me in so many ways. Starting off with my family, I had to worry if they'll be safe during the hurricane. Now I had to worry of how they adjust back to normal life. And then I have friends who've almost lost it all, like their whole house completely ruined, all their possessions, everything just gone after the storm, so it's very tough.
The Bahamas is receiving help, but there is still more to go.
So far we've received a lot of aid from many different places, different people, and we appreciate it, but there's still a lot to be done.
There are ways for students to help. Laverty mentions one of the most important is prayer.
If somebody's hoping to help the Bahamas, you can make donations and also just keep us in your prayers. I believe in the power of prayer. It's a strong thing, so just do as best as you can.
David Depler, StampedeTV.
Laverty says it will be a long road to rebuilding, but he is hopeful that the Bahamas will bounce back. For more on this story, head over to milliganstampede.com.
Milligan's young electrical and mechanical engineering programs have reached target enrollment this year. With a total of 85 students, Dr. Greg Harrell says the program is where it is expected to be, but there's still room for more. Harrell says 85 students is far from maximum capacity of classroom and lab space. Engineering professors have built this program from the ground up, taking an auditorium down to a dirt floor and rebuilding it as a laboratory for students to work at solving everyday problems for real people. One of the capstone projects this year is based out of Sneedville, Tennessee, where students are providing the community with access to clean drinking water through water filtration technology.
You get to use your skills and abilities to learn more about your chosen profession, and in the end, you have solved some person's real and immediate problem and changed their lives, right?
Dr. Harrell plans to expand the engineering program to include other areas and looks forward to continued growth.
Tryouts for Milligan's new esports team officially concluded as of September 12th. 18 of the 30 students who tried out were selected. According to Coach Micah Ridley, students who tried out were tested with their skills in the games of League of Legends, Hearthstone, Rocket League, NBA 2K, FIFA, and Apex Legends.
It is something that's growing. I don't anticipate it slowing down at this point. I think it's only going to get bigger.
Ridley is hopeful for the future of his team. He anticipates open competitions for students to watch.
Week, one of Milligan's longest-standing traditions, kicked off last week. Twerp Week is an annual event where the woman is required to pay. The week got off to a great start with free Sundays on Sunday. Monday called for bowling night at Holiday Lanes. The Johnson City Family Skate Center on Tuesday had a slow night for Twerp Week, but that didn't stop anyone from having fun. Heather Vaccaro and Heather Jackson ran Thursday's trivia night in sub 7. Students were eager to test their knowledge outside of the classroom. The annual Twerp Week came to a glow-in-the-dark end in Lower Seeger as students dressed for the Sadie Hawkins dance. Students look forward to this ongoing tradition.
Milligan is now recognized as one of the top universities in the South, according to U.S. News and World Report.
The college jumped 10 spots from last year, coming in at number 13 on the list. We also were recognized for categories in Best Value Schools and Top Performers on Social Mobility.
President Greer says he is pleased that the current and former students are living out the mission of the college.
After the break, we'll talk with Emma Albrecht about her summer spent in Kenya.
And later, Kayla Baker joins us with sports. Stay tuned.
Graduation. It's one of the biggest moments for each of us. But overcrowding meant that we could no longer have just one ceremony. For some, this meant sharing the event with your entire family. For others, splitting up this community.
I know it's not expected and being hard, but we had this idea we would all matriculate together and we would all graduate together.
We provided you with a voice on an important issue because we're in this together. We are StampedeTV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing.
I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels.
After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak.
Meals on Wheels, coming to my door as someone who's housebound, having someone check on me, assures me that I'm not forgotten.
Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
We're the clients.
We are the clients.
We are the clients of Meals on Wheels.
America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
David Depper here with StampedeTV. Today I have the opportunity of interviewing Emma Albrecht. She just got back from a, summer in Kenya, right?
Yeah.
What was it like to be in Kenya for the whole summer? How did you hear about that opportunity?
Yeah, I worked with CMF in Nairobi, Kenya, and they partnered with Missions of Hope International, which is a ministry in the slums of Nairobi. And I heard about it actually through Milligan, and CMF visited during Missions Week. And then I also had a friend, Izzy, who did a similar internship with CMF prior to me.
That's cool. So was Izzy the one who introduced you to it, or did you hear about it in chapel? How did that organize? Was she just like, go for it, Emma?
Yeah, I actually read Izzy's email updates over the summer. And then when CMF came in October, I was like, all right, Izzy's summer sounded great. I got to hear more about this.
Right. So you deciding to go. What was holding you back from that decision? Were you all for it the whole time? Were you hesitant at all?
I don't know. I thought I'd be scared, but I was just so excited. I mean, it was a little intimidating. It was 7,000 miles away. Yeah. It was in a country I'd never been before, but it was just such a cool opportunity and such a unique thing to do that, I was just all in for it.
That's super cool. When you touched down 7,000 miles from little city, Johnson City, what was it like to be in such a different world?
Oh, it was such a culture shock. Nairobi is a huge city, and also it's in a whole new part of the world that speaks a different language, and it was scary. And when I worked in the slums, I also worked in a lot of poverty, so it was kind of scary at first because I didn't really know what was going on. It was intimidating, but the longer I was there and the more I got to know the people there and actually build relationships with them, the more it felt like home, and I loved it.
Very cool. And what was a good, fun memory that you have looking back on the summer?
Yeah, so the organization I worked for is a holistic organization, and one part of that is they have a lot of schools. And so they have a headquarters and then a lot of different centers. And at the end of the day, all the interns would come back to the headquarters and we would wait to be picked up. And during that time, all the school children got out during that time. And there's this little girl named Blessing, and she was about in 1st grade. And Blessing, that kid just has my heart. She doesn't speak English, and she was really shy. And I mean, I didn't speak Swahili, but we would play together every day while she was waiting to get picked up. And it was such a unique and special relationship. And I mean, honestly, it was a memory I'll remember forever.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, it warms my heart. So now that you're back in the States, would you ever consider doing another experience like this again?
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard and challenging, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. You get to see God in a whole new way, and you get to see the love of God in a whole new way, and it was amazing, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
That's awesome. All right, so somebody comes to you, fresh out of chapel, CNF had come in and they say, Emma, I heard that you did this semester or summer in Kenya. I'm thinking about doing it. What are you going to tell that kid?
Definitely apply. You can always go on CMF's website. You can talk to me. You can talk to CMF when they come in October for Missions Week. There's a lot of places all over the world you can go. Last summer, I was in Kenya, but I had other interns in like 8 different countries. And this summer, I mean, you can go to 6 different continents and serve. So it's definitely worth it and checking out.
That's very cool. Well, thanks, Emma. This has been Emma Albrecht and David Depler here with Stampede TV.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
It's all about making the difference. Do you or someone you know go above and beyond to put others first? Are you active within the Milligan community? We want to know. This year, we are introducing a new segment called Making the Difference to let you know what impact our students leave on others both on and off campus. If you know a student doing this, be sure to let us know. You can nominate students through our social media outlet or by email. Here at Milligan, we want to make the difference.
Vaping has now led to the death of a 7th person in the U.S. It's the 2nd death in California linked to vaping.
Now the CDC has activated its Emergency Operations Center in response to e-cigarette use. Reed Bennon has the latest.
It's supposed to be a healthy alternative to cigarettes, right? Well, it turns out it's a killer.
Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, one of several senators demanding online marketplaces like eBay, Craigslist, and Alibaba stop selling e-cigarettes and vaping products to teens, calling eBay's response to remove the products, quote, lackluster at best.
5 million high school students across the United States are using vaping products.
Lung disease cases linked to vaping in 36 states have prompted the CDC to activate its Emergency Operations Center, which will help strengthen the response to the health threat vaping is causing across the U.S.
That's how serious this conversation is.
California, one of the 6 states with vaping-related deaths, is now imposing stricter age verification requirements for tobacco products sold online or by mail, and is launching a $20 million digital and social media campaign aimed at educating people about the dangers of vaping.
We're going to focus our marketing campaigns targeting this epidemic of vaping.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Kayla Baker joins us now with sports.
And she has the details on Milligan's first cross-country home meet in over 20 years.
After the break, I'll tell you about the nationally ranked men's and women's cross-country teams, plus the cheer and dance team's experience at camp. Sports is next.
I used to think news is news. It's all the same, but it's not. There's a big difference between local broadcast news and cable news. See, local stations are part of my community, connecting me to local news, weather, and sports on every device. It makes sense. Get the news from the people I trust who actually live here. No agenda, no bias like on cable shout shows or social media, just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local stations. Text TV to 52886 today.
Hammocks. They're one of our favorite pastimes.
Student leaders promise new mounts behind dorms to make things even easier.
It's going to allow for hopefully 14 hammocks.
But when a year passed with no mounts, we asked why.
The hammock mounts that had not been installed a year after the plan was announced.
Those interview requests were declined. The very next morning, those mounts were installed. We stuck with the story until the very end, because we are in this together. We are StampedeTV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
For the first time in over 20 years, the cross-country teams returned home on Friday. The men's and women's teams competed against AAC opponent Tennessee Wesleyan on the M training loop. Both nationally ranked teams ran to victory, placing in the top 7. Sophomore Gabrielle Martez led the women's team, breaking the 2-mile record with a time of 11 minutes and 9 seconds. Sophomore Avery DeWolf had a strong finish, coming in just 10 seconds after Martez. Nathan Baker got things done for the men, finishing in first place with a time of 14 minutes and 55 seconds in the 3-mile race. Tim Thatcher finished runner-up. Head coach Chris Lane said he couldn't have been more proud of his team and appreciated the support from Buff Nation. Next up, both teams hit the road for the Queen City Invitational in Charlotte, North Carolina on Friday, September 27th. The women's volleyball team picked up the sweep-beating AAC matchup Columbia in 3 sets Saturday in Steve Lacey Fieldhouse. What a day for senior Kelly Guerin. She recorded 38 assists on the day, making that her 4,000th career assist. Guerin assisted 7 buffs in the match with a high of 11 from senior Julie Dockery. Sophomore Layla Grant with a solid defensive performance, tallying 14 digs. Freshman Ashlyn Vandergriff had a strong performance with 10 digs and 4 assists. The Lady Buffs will be on the road for the next 6 matches, but you can catch them back in Steve Lacey Fieldhouse on Tuesday, September 24th at 6:30 p.m., taking on Bluefield College. The men's soccer team came up short on Tuesday, losing to Cumberland University with a score 2-1. The first half was scoreless for both teams. Milligan shot 11 times and Cumberland with 4 attempts. Things heated up in the second half with Cumberland scoring the first goal. Milligan answered off a penalty kick from senior Roberto Garrido, tying it up. Cumberland went on to score their second goal in the final 6 minutes of the game, winning it 2-1. Milligan outshot Cumberland's 15-14 with 4 saves from junior goalie Jan Kepper. The Buffs hit the road on Saturday for a conference matchup against Reinhardt University at 5 p.m. The cheer and dance teams hit the beach in early August for an NDA and NCA camps. I sat down with head coach Chelsea Woodacre and talked about what they learned at camp. They've got spirit, yes they do, and they took it to Myrtle Beach for the NCA and NDA camps. Head coach Chelsea Woodacre is in her 2nd year as Milligan's spirit coordinator and is ready to take the team to the next level.
We came home with a lot of skills from camp, both cheer and dance. We came home straight from camp with routines ready to go and put on the floor.
With schools like USC and Clemson in attendance, competition was at its highest. But that didn't stop Woodacre from believing in her team.
I wouldn't have taken them. And sure, going into it, it is a little bit intimidating when you walk through the door and see those big schools. But I knew that my girls could do it, so no, I think we were fine.
At camp, the teams were able to learn new routines despite the challenges they faced.
You know, there were times where we were like, are we going to make it through this? But we came through at the end. And I think that was the most rewarding thing, was just seeing the girls all come together and work together. And, you know, we brought home some good trophies, so I'm proud.
And working together is what they did. Both cheer and dance earned bids to nationals along with superior and excellent ribbons. For senior Beth Hickman, it's about rallying together and showing just how much they care.
We really do care about this community. We care about the teams that we cheer on, and we do care about the secret protection and things.
There's more to this program than what you might see, and that's what Woodacre wants others to know.
Cheer and dance goes beyond the bows and the pom-poms. That these girls put in a ton of work and effort, just like every other athletic program on this campus.
Kayla Baker, StampedeTV.
Go Buffs!
Woodacre says this was a great learning experience for the team, and she hopes to do it all again next year. And what a week for Buff Nation in sports. Julie Dockery, Kelly Guerin, Nathan Baker, and Roberto Garrido all earned AAC weekly honors. And that'll do it for sports.
Thanks, Kayla.
Coming up next, I'll tell you about a local restaurant shutting its doors despite future plans. More on Stampede after this.
Family, friends, community. We need to help each other. Did you know that 1 in 5 people in the U.S. has a mental health condition? Our friends and family may be suffering emotionally and not know how to ask for help. Learn the 5 signs of suffering: personality change, agitation, withdrawal, poor self-care, and hopelessness. Then reach out, connect, and offer to help. Visit changedirection.org.
A shooting on campus. It's something we hope will never happen. But it seems to be happening more and more often. We asked questions and discovered what you should do if it ever occurs here.
You could have 22 city officers in that vicinity within 10 minutes.
Now guidelines are posted in every building. It's potentially life-saving information because we're in this together. We're Stampede TV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
You're watching Brianna Snyder, Jordan Birch, Kayla Baker with sports, and the rest of your Stampede TV team.
A restaurant minutes from campus is closing its doors after renovations.
Aunt Bee's is no longer open. I talked with a student on campus and how this is affecting her. Unity. I talked with student Tara Sumatra about her experience with Aunt Bee's.
Dad graduated from Milligan, and most of the stories that I heard growing up were about Aunt Bee's, how he would take his finals at Aunt Bee's and get the bottomless coffee, and how he would just stay there all night. And that was something that I looked forward to coming to Milligan.
Aunt Bee's was a family-style restaurant that served home-style country food. They would take everyday meals and make them special.
Different take on your classic grilled cheese.
Aunt Bee's was a community restaurant. They often hosted events and had live music for people to enjoy. The restaurant was known for their affordable prices and family atmosphere. Local residents, as well as Milligan students and faculty, regularly made their way to Aunt Bee's.
Well, I think it's one of those places that is a staple to our community, and seeing it go is going to be a real loss.
Aunt Bee's closing was due to personal reasons for the owner, Ken Talbert. We were unable to make contact with Mr. Talbert. Just last spring, the restaurant underwent renovations. Unfortunately, Talbert was unable to keep the doors open. But a new restaurant, The Hungry Wolf, is planning to use the building in the future. Jordan Birch, Stampede TV. We reached out to owner Ken Talbert, but he did not respond.
And that's all for this edition of Stampede TV.
For the latest news and information, visit us online at milliganstampede.com.
Or check us out on social media. Thanks for watching. I'm Brianna Snyder.
And I'm Jordan Birch. Join us again for our new newscast on October 15th. Have a great rest of your day.